get set.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Dude, what is it?
Oh my gosh, dude, what do we do? Broskis, we need to discuss.
Broskies on 3. 1, 2, 3. Broskies! Wow, dude. Guys, they're saying there's an Ebola pandemic. It's broken out all over the world. Over 20% of the world's inhabitants have succumbed to the disease. The United Nations has called on the Phi Sigma Broskis to represent the US of A in the UN General Assembly. We've been asked to present a solution.
Dude, this is crazy. An intergovernmental organization needs our help. We need to make a plan. What are we going to do with everyone who gets sick? Ebola is highly contagious and will spread all over the world super fast.
If this thing is going to take over the world, we need to make sure that all the countries are involved in the solution.
Broski, I hear you, and I think you're talking about a multilateral treaty.
Dude, I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
Respectfully, Broski, you need to stop going to parties and start going to class. It's also known as a norm-making treaty. It's an agreement signed and ratified by many states, sometimes the vast majority of states.
So that means we have to make an agreement for everyone to sign and figure out an incentive so that the great power unanimity occurs? Like it has the guidelines that nations have to follow to slow the spread of Ebola and keep this pandemic at bay.
Sounds great, bro. I actually just wrote it here.
The dudes at Phi Sigma Broski have drawn up the following treaty for the nations and health institutions of the world. All listed parties who sign are thus obligated to adhere to the following guidelines.
Number 1, these parties must report signs of the Ebola plague to the World Health Organization. Reporting includes those who have tested positive, those who have exhibited symptoms but status is not yet determined, and the number of deaths from Ebola, and those who are at risk of spreading it, such as people who recently traveled to a country where Ebola was more common.
But how are they going to do that, bro?
It can be done through methods easily accessible to the average citizen, like a website or an app. We'll make sure it has really good security to avoid cyberterrorism.
But bro, what about the people in third world countries who might not have access to the internet?
The WHO, a non-governmental organization, can set up reporting stations in densely populated areas. Here, people will be able to be tested, report themselves, or find out numbers throughout their country and in the world. The dudes are committed for transparency.
What if a country doesn't want to be part of this treaty, or they sign it and then violate it? Like, what about the Pacta Sunt Servanda?
What is that, dude? Another frat?
That would be totally not cool of them. Pacta Sunt Servanda means treaties have to be respected. Nations have to comply with what they've signed. Not doing so is not broski behavior. If you're not a part of that agreement, you are not guaranteed international aid. AKA, you are exiled from the pack and forced to be a lone wolf, dude. This condition could help prevent a free rider problem. Countries that sign it and adhere to the treaty will get priority, especially when it comes to financial aid towards their government.
Oh, so like economic sanctions, right? The limitation of trade, investment, or aid to a country in order to get that country to change its policies?
Wait, dude. While it's not cool to violate a treaty or just not sign it in the first place, we need to remember the people of the countries are still humans and therefore have basic human rights. We need to make sure we're implementing smart sanctions. Economic sanctions targeted at things most valued by the political leaders of a country, while allowing essential civilian goods and humanitarian assistance to reach the people in need.
Bro, where are we gonna put all these sick people? They're not gonna all fit in the frat house. If they do, my room is off limits.
Dude, not to mention we'd actually have to clean this place up. Who knows what's at the back of the fridge?
Who?
No, dude, not that who, but there are probably some health code violations in there.
Man, worry about the fridge later. What if we set up quarantine facilities? People who are exhibiting symptoms can go there for care. This way, we can limit the spread by keeping them all together. If everyone just goes to hospitals that also have non-infected people, everyone's just going to catch it there. So, we set up specific places so people can receive care.
This is a positive right that people can take advantage of because people have the right to adequate health care. We can also make refugee centers for the uninfected available for those who traveled here but aren't able to return to their home country because of the pandemic.
And we have to remember we need to be following the guidelines of the UN Human Rights Council while also acting in the interest of the Security Council. Ultimately, we can't force people to report themselves or check themselves into quarantine facilities. Everyone has the right of freedom of movement within their state, but Ebola without professional care is a death sentence. By going to a quarantine center, you know you'll receive care.
But for those to work, we need people who know how to care specifically for Ebola. Like here in America, it's not common, so we'll need to have people trained.
That's right, dude. But through the World Health Organization, we need to make sure healthcare workers and those in training corps get taught how to properly deal with this. Also, for other people whose jobs may put them at higher risk of infection.
Wait, what about a training corps?
Follow along, dude. We can have a training corps for peacekeeping, maintaining peace that is already established. It'll be a form of human security. This corps can help provide education on slowing the spread as well, and hopefully cause a demonstration effect in citizens.
From there, we can escalate if needed, put in peace enforcement to stop any aggression at borders, which exercises universal jurisdiction, and there's peacemaking to intervene with in-state conflicts. These two are implemented on a case-by-case basis, not the default.
Even with this pandemic going on, we still need to take into consideration the threat of terrorism. What if people think that the pandemic isn't real, or even that they want to spread it intentionally?
This is where peacemaking comes in as a form of humanitarian intervention. Countries, of course, can decide what to do with this internally, because they have a responsibility to protect. But we would advise putting the peacemakers into action. Our priority is containment and maintaining public health.
So far, this is sounding good, broskies. I think we deserve some brewskis.
Not yet, man. We still got work to do. We need to think about the poorer countries who don't have the adequate resources to deal with this.
Good point. We need something like a fund for them, like when we did that car wash to raise money for the Phi Sigma Broski Brotherhood.
Yeah, man. Like an impact fund, an Ebola impact fund. Lesser developed countries aren't going to be able to get through this on their own. We developed nations gotta help them out.
Totally true, man. There are also countries where governments aren't concerned with upholding the human rights of their citizens. This fund can help ensure that the people's rights and well-being stay intact. It's not just for the people in power.
And we'll have to take cultural relativism into consideration. In cultures where they believe that some people hold less value, we'll have to make sure all people are getting equitable aid.
Excellent point, bro. All Barbies and Kens are equal and deserve to get the help they need.
Totally, dude. However, we just can't be giving them a handout. The fund isn't a public good. We need to condition that in order for them to receive this aid, they need to be a part of our treaty regarding reporting. If you're keeping in the guidelines, we're cool.
If they decided to go back on their word, they wouldn't be able to get aid from the fund. Unfortunately, we would have to stop having constructive engagement with them.
We can give them aid based on what resources they may already have, as well as their population and the number of infected people in their country. This fund could also contribute to training workers on care and prevention of Ebola.
The countries who are able to give to the fund can do so based on their own resources that they can give, as well as monetary data like their GDP.
Like a common pool resource, this fund is finite. But unlike that, it's excludable. We'll have a responsibility to protect the fund, so we'll avoid having a tragedy of commons.
Another aspect to consider is that some strains of Ebola actually have vaccines, and there are some in development. We need to mass produce and make these widely available everywhere we can. We should also allocate resources for further development of vaccines. This could be the key to bringing this under control and being able to continue life.
Yes, dude. Loving the optimism.
The World Health Organization is going to be a big player in this. While they're not going to be making any laws, we should rely heavily on them for data, advice, and information. After all, they're experts. We're just bros.
Hey man, don't put us down like that. Remember, we're Kenough.
Thanks, man. You're right. And as long as the countries in the treaty are reporting as quickly and accurately as they can, they're enough too.
Berskis, I'm loving what we've got going here. But we need to think about the financial ramifications of this pandemic, from the amount of lives lost to the cost of foreign and in-state aid. How do we even begin to pay for all this?
How much can it cost you? Like $1 million?
Oh no, man. It's gonna be more than that.
No worries, guys. I've been printing these from my parents' basement for like months. I got us
dude,
covered.
I don't think you're doing what you think you're doing right now.
Being helpful?
No. With this worldwide pandemic, there's going to have to be financial forgiveness and resource allocation that would normally not occur.
Yes, dude. We can't realistically predict what this will cost. There are so many variables at play. It's impossible to predict, and not to mention, life is priceless.
Yeah, man, speaking of life, what about death?
Dude, I think you're getting too into your philosophy class.
No, man, I'm serious. Ebola is highly contagious and deadly. People are dying left and right. Dead bodies can still transmit it, so we can't just have normal funerals. And frankly, dude, there just isn't room if we still want to have usable Earth.
We would also need to cut down a lot of trees for that. Doing that would lead to more climate change. Trees are really important, and they take a long time to grow back.
So what if we did some sort of cremation thing?
Yes, dude. Great suggestion. Not only will the mega high temps during the process kill the virus, this will also allow us to let people bury their loved ones with dignity.
Cheers to that, broskies.
I think this is the most productive frat meeting of my life.
Yeah, man, we've set up a multilateral treaty, a training corps, and established quarantine procedures.
Not to mention the Ebola Impact Fund to help countries in need.
I think we've pretty much saved the world.
Alrighty, bros. Looks like we have a crisis response report for the UN. Only thing left to do is to deliver it.
What's the due date on this again?
This is the world, bro, not an assignment.
It's due now.
Yeah.
Broski, how are we gonna get there?
Broski, beam us up.
I'm just